Hello, sir.
Teacher, you can start.
Hello, you
Yeah.
can start.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you. So, good evening, all, and a happy Friendship Day. I am Pooja Fateh, host for today's webinar. So, I welcome you all for this webinar organized by Botanical Society of Goa in association with Agricos Alumni Association Goa. I welcome our session moderator, Miguel Braganza, who is an agriculture consultant and a visiting professor of urban gardening at Dempe College of Arts and Science. I warmly welcome our today's speaker, Mrs. Priyanka Naik, Ms. Kruti Prabhu, and Ms. Kavita Pujari. The topic for today's webinar is Scope for Beekeeping in Goa. Most of us know what is the importance of bees in nature, in our life. So nowadays, the beekeeping becoming a good uh, complementary business in our Kuragar system, as it does not only provide the honey, along with the honey, it increases the yield of our crops. So let's begin with our session today. Our first speaker is Mrs. Priyanka Naik, who is agriculture graduate, owner of firm Priyanka Gardening Services and joint manager of Rasraj Goa Farm. Apart from that, she has been also a teacher of grade 1 teaching horticulture to pre-university students. She has anchored a TV series on urban gardening for CCRTV channel. Elected as treasurer for Botanical Society of Goa, veteran for organizing plant reserve and conducting an all Goa home garden competition. She has conducted agriculture related demonstration all over 40 schools in Goa. She is a founding president of Agricos Alumni Association Goa. Priyanka, you can start with your presentation.
Thank you, Pooja. Good evening, everyone. Today I am going to talk about importance of honeybees in our environment. Next. So, honeybees play a major role in terms of our economic production, whether it is in agriculture field or when we look at the economic of a country as a whole, because they play a vital role in pollination of many fruits, vegetables, seed crops, and they also have very different varied products which are used in medicine, like honey, which is almost used in most of the Ayurveda medicines, bee wax, pollen, royal jelly, propolis, bee venom. Each one of those have a significant use in medicinal purpose and also for our daily consumption. We'll discuss each of them in detail. Next. So honey, when we talk about honey, when you're looking at the chemical composition of the honey itself, it has water of 17%, the glucose content is about 31%, fructose of 38%, and it has most of the vitamins and enzymes, proteins, which are essential for a healthy diet. It also contains minerals like iron, copper, magnesium, sodium, potassium, calcium, silica, phosphorus, which are also found in very small quantities but which are essential in our daily diet. Okay, next. Okay, so there are various vitamins like ascorbic acid, niacin, riboflavin, thiamine enzyme invertase, then phosphoglycerin acid, which is present in the honey, which is essential for our day-to-day life. Then
which
there
is
are
essential
various
for our day-to-day life.
nutritional value present in honey. Like it is considered as a immorality drug because it consists of a single teaspoon of honey consists of 100 calories, which is much more required for a daily appetite. It also helps to relieve your dryness of your mouth and body.
Douglas, please put up your mic. Please put up your mic.
Then it has a natural sugar component which helps to prevent fatigue during exercise. If you are going for a gym and all and your body is paining very badly, then you can have honey in a hot water, in a glass of water, and that relieves your pain due to muscle stretching, and it also improves your metabolism and also helps to improve your digestive system. So there are various minerals which are found in honey, which aids in your blood circulation. So there are many more, benefits when you're looking at the honey itself. And there are many other products of honey. We'll be discussing them ahead in this presentation. Next, when you're looking at the medicinal value, uh, so we have a medicinal properties like antibacterial property. So if you have any cut or during, even if you are looking at a apiary or you have your own apiary at your home and you have a bee sting, so in those places also you can apply honey, which relieves pain. And also if you have any cuts of when you're cutting something or you have cut your skin, then also if you apply honey, it relieves your pain. Then it also used for healthy growth of your tissues. It helps to cure your cough, your intestinal disorders. It helps to cure your headaches, sleeplessness, jaundice. Overall, it helps in your purification of the blood if you intake honey in a limited quantity. So that's how you see there are various medicinal values that are present in honey and how important it is when you are looking at the commercial point of view. So the next product that we obtain from honey is bee wax. So what is bee wax is? Now bee wax is a usually we humans we sweat and we have a sweat glands. So similarly for honey bees they have a bee wax, that is their bee sweat. So this wax is present at the eighth. There are eight glands which are present in the bee on the fourth and the seventh abdominal segment. So you can see in this picture here in the right hand side. So these are the wax glands which secrete the wax, and this wax is used by the bees to, prepare their honeycomb. So this wax is used for the comb preparation, and the composition of this bee wax is contains about 70 to 74% of fatty acids, then hydrocarbons, monoesters, triesters, and free alcohols and vitamin A. So these are the chemical composition of bee wax. Then the different uses, okay, of these bee wax is it is used, the oil which is obtained from this bee wax is used to cure your wounds. So wherever you have wounds, if you have a bee colony and you are preserving the wax, you can use those wax to treat your wounds, to treat the lupus. And it is also used to prepare ointments and lotions which can cure the pains in the joints. It also helps in making shoe polish, then sealing wax, glue, oil paints, binding oils, candles can be made out of bee wax. The even when we have a poor colony, suppose you have a apiary and your colony is poor, it is not able to make enough of brood chambers or brood combs. Then we prepare. There's a technique wherein they prepare a comb sheet, a foundation sheet, wherein the bees get a foundation wherein they can start preparing their entire comb by working on that foundation sheet itself. So that is also for that purpose also bee wax is used, and it is also used to coat the papers to fill the pores in bones or making crayons. So there are many more uses of bee wax, and one can even look at the processing of all these products. So next is bee venom. Now what is bee venom? So whenever we have a sting, usually from a honeybee, we usually have a sting from their ovipositor, which is present at the second gland, that is the, or it is present at the last uh, abdomen of the honeybee, which you can see in the bottom picture, how the ovipositor looks like. It is a fine needle which pierces into our skin, and this venom is secreted by them. So whenever a bee is under stress condition, and they have seen there is some abnormal activity happening around them, then this gland secretes this venom. It is called as epitoxin. This epitoxin causes that swelling in our skin, and also the pain is caused due to this epitoxin. So when we look at the medicinal use or the benefits of this venom, it is good therapeutic agent because it is used as a curative toxin to treat rheumatism. It has beneficial effects on central nervous system, which is impaired in this illness. To cure this hypertension, asthma, premenstrual syndrome, hearing problems, then headaches, neuritis, neuralgia, all these problems can be cured by using bee venom. And also in medicine, it is a medicine to treat your skin diseases like tuberculosis of skin and eczema. So these are the various uses of bee venom which can be extracted from the honeybee and can be outsourced as a medicine for the pharmaceutical industry. Then next product that we get from honeybee is royal jelly. Now what is a royal jelly? Okay, the royal jelly, it is secreted from the hypopharynx of the honeybee. Now this also has a many beneficial uses, like it is used by the honeys for their newborn babies to feed the newborn babies. This royal jelly is made by the honey, and it also has medicinal uses because it contains many important vitamins like vitamin B5, vitamin B6, vitamin B6, and vitamin B6 is the one which is usually we don't get directly from the food. So most of the people who do go for gym and all, they prefer the royal jelly to build onto their muscles and strengthen the muscles. Then next we have is propolis. Now what is propolis is, this propolis is also called as bee glue. It is secreted from the honeybee by mixing their saliva along with the exudate which they gather from the trees or birds or the sap from the plant. So they mix their saliva along with the plant sap and the propolis is created. This is normally dark brown in color, but it is found in green, red, black, or white hues. So there are variations according to the kind of glue they mix their saliva with. Now, this propellus is used in musical instruments like violin as a varnish to give a clean finish to the instrument. And this is also used to make a gum, propellus gum, and to bring about a chemical reaction to convert the fats into oils into automobile wax during application. So that is also used in used to convert the fats into oils. So the propellus also has a good demand. Then another important function of the honeybees is pollination. So in agriculture term points of view, pollination is the most important function that the bees uh, play a vital role in this field, because without pollination we cannot have any fruits or any vegetables in our plate, right? So bees are the one who play a vital role in this sector because they are the ones who visit most of the flowering plants, especially the vegetables and fruits. They help to pollinate them, and that's how after pollination the flower comes into a fruit stage, and then from the fruit they come to a seed stage. So that's how we have a diversity of the plants around us, and that's how our biodiversity gets better every time when they pollinate by the bees, because they visit thousands of flowers every day and they collect many types of pollens on their body. So that's how we have different type of plants and fruits forming, because they do cross pollination, and we have new hybrid varieties or new varieties coming up with a better performance in the field. So they play a very vital role in terms of pollination, because 80% of the agricultural crops are pollinated by honeybees, and that's how they are very much important. And what will happen if there are no bees left on the earth. So how what will happen if there are no bees at all? They are extinct. So Albert Einstein has once stated that if the bees disappear off the surface of the earth in around 4 years' time, there will be no life thriving on the earth. So it will be there will be no man, no animals, no plants anymore which are living on this earth. So they are so much important for us. And if there are no bees, then you can see there is so much of disturbance in a food chain also. So you can see in this picture, if there are no bee colonies present in the world, then most of the vegetables that are required or the fruits that we require in our daily diet will be vanished from our plate, and we'll see only few of those which are being pollinated or which are pollinated by other birds and insects. So the majority of the pollination process and food development process is done by honeybees, and we need to take care of them. And why should we take care of them is if there is significant drop in the level of bees, then there will be very low pollination that will be occurring in the nature, and also there will be reduced in the availability of certain fruits and vegetables that are only pollinated by bees. And also because of this condition, there will be increase in the food prices because these vegetables which are pollinated by the bees won't be growing anymore, and the prices will be just shooting like anything, and it will be harder to get a healthy balanced diet because most of the vegetables uh, will not be produced in as much quantity as we require them. Then, what are the reasons of bee population is declining? Why it is declining at a faster rate? First of all, because of the deforestation. Now, what happens due to deforestation? Most of the biodiversity, that is, the different pollens that are available in the nature of the different plants, are getting vanished. So, if your people are going for monoculturing or monocropping, so there are no diversification of the pollens that is available for the honeybees to feed on, and that's how their dietary balance also gets disturbed because they also need nutrition, right, for their better growth, and they get their nutrition and diet from the different pollens from the plant, and that's how they are healthy and they grow well. But if the deforestation occurs or there are no different variety of pollen in the ecosystem, then their life cycle also disturbs and they fall ill. Then another factor that affects bees is parasites that are there are various pests which attack the bees. Like they also have diseases and pest attack. Those will be discussed by the further speakers. Then poor nutrition, as I told you, like due to bad quality of environment or poor sanitization in the environment. If there is stagnated water, if they feed on the stagnated water, then also their digestive system gets disturbed and they fall ill, and that's how their death occurs. And loss of habitat, that's how I told you about deforestation. Like if there is deforestation or the diversity of the nature has been lost, then the pollen variation is also lost, so that's how it affects. Then pesticide usage, if there is heavy use of pesticides, this chemical pesticides, they also hamper the pollens and also the life cycle of the honeybees because when they go on feed onto the flowers to extract the nectar and the pollen, they get attacked by these pesticides which are chemical have poisonous chemical, and they kill them. So we need to avoid any pesticides which we are using to control the insects on the crop. We should stick to organic practices. Then next is stress. So what is stress in beekeeping is when you have a monocropping or when you have a single crop and you want to go for a apiary. So at that time, what happens is the stress condition takes place because they only have one kind of pollen to feed on. And in stress, another reason of stress is when you are moving your apiary at frequent rates. That is, once in a month, you are moving your colony 3 to 4 times from one place to another. Then also the bees get stressed and they move out of the hive. So that is also another reason of bee declining. Then what can we do to help these bees? So what are different practices that one can look at to help their bees? So to help your bee population in the worldwide scenario, you can look at diversifying your gardens with more number of plants, flowers, and different types of fish species in one particular area. That will help your bees to grow healthier, and also make your garden bee friendly. That is, do not use any chemical fertilizers or pesticides to keep your pests away. Also, think about the bees who are making your food ready made for you without any hand pollination process or without any trouble for you to go and pollinate the plants or flowers. They are making your fruit ready for you by pollinating them, of course, by feeding themselves. And also, do not kill honeybees when you have any honeycomb in your backyard. If it is Apis dorsata also, the rock bees also which are making honeycomb around your area. Don't try to go and put fire under them and drive them away. Just make a smoker or make a put fire which is only giving you a smoke and drive them away and extract your honey. So that helps to keep the bee pollination, the honeybee population intact in our nature, and also raise awareness about not to kill them by putting fire, and try to educate people that they are not going to sting you unless you are going to disturb them. And also try to become a beekeeper, because they are very friendly creature. They do not harm you until you go and disturb their working process. Otherwise, they are very friendly, and anyone can go for beekeeping. That is nothing hard and fast rule in that. They are very friendly, and they are very uh, nature loving. So that's very important, and they are the one. They are the creature that we require in our ecosystem to thrive on this earth, because they are the one who create our food and feed us every day. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Priyanka. It was a very informative presentation. Our next speaker is Miss Kruti Prabhu, who has recently graduated in BSc Agriculture. She joined agriculture due to her interest in gardening. Her singing skills and charming personality made her win the title of Miss Meteora in 2018. Currently, she is pursuing MSc in Genetic and Plant Breeding in LPU, Punjab. And today she will be presenting on Introduction to Beekeeping and Care of Bees. Kruti, over to you. And participant, if you have any query, you can write in the chat box. Kruti, you can start.
Good evening, everyone. Today I'll tell you something about beekeeping. Next, first of all, what is beekeeping? Beekeeping has come up from a Latin word apis cultura. Apis means bee, and cultura means cultivation through education. The family of bee is Apidae, subfamily is Apinae, and genus is Apis. Beekeeping is also called as apiculture. And beekeeping is maintenance of honeybee colonies, commonly in hives by the humans. So artificially, when humans maintain the honeybee colonies in the boxes, it is called as beekeeping. So this previous slide. So this is a picture of a comb which has capped as well as uncapped eggs. The capped one, the dome shaped one, are of drones, and the flat ones are of workers. Next, so what is honey? Honey is a delicious natural liquid produced by honeybees after the hard efforts. What is a beekeeper? A beekeeper is also called as apiarist. A beekeeper is the one who keeps bees in order to collect honey and other products, to pollinate the crops and produce bees for sale for other beekeepers. So, a beekeeper maintains bees to collect honey or other products, also for sale for other beekeepers, and also to help pollinate his or her crops. And a place where beekeeping is carried on is called as apiary or bee yard. Next. Next. So, before taking up beekeeping as a profession, one must know the basic aspects of beekeeping, such as different bee species, their biology, rearing and management methods, bee enemies, diseases, bee forage, role of honeybees in crop pollination, etc. So, beekeeping is not just getting a box with bees and keeping in a backyard and expecting them to produce honey, but it deals with a lot of things which we need to study before taking up this profession. Next. So, these are some images of bee box and some hives. Benefits of beekeeping. Honey is nature's miraculous food. So honey is also called as a miraculous food. It has very good nutritional composition, which is closer to a fruit than to table sugar. That means honey is more healthier than table sugar. Honeybees are not only important for the honey and other products they provide, but they also are available and are vital as pollinators of agricultural and horticultural crops. So they are not just important for the products that they give, but also they are vital pollinators. And we all know that pollination is very important aspect in order to get good yield in our crops. And as the earlier presenter had discussed about this, honeybees also produce various products like bee wax, royal jelly, which has high market value. Next. So these are the pictures of honey harvester, and that is a bee box. So as we all know that honey boosts the immunity, gives us stamina, and also protects from many diseases. It is rich source of nutrients, minerals, and vitamins. It protects us from various diseases, and it is also advised for weight loss and for skin. Next. Now we'll look at the types of honeybees. So there are two types of honeybees. One is stinged bees and other is stingless bees. In stinged bees we have 4 types, and in stingless bees we have 1 type. So first one is rock bee. This is called as Apis dorsata fabricius, and they produce about 36 kilograms of honey per comb per year. This is the biggest species of honeybee. Then we have little bee. This is called as Apis florea. They produce 500 grams of honey per comb per year, and their honey also has medicinal values. Next one is Indian bee, that is Apis cerana indica, which is the most common bee in India that is being used for beekeeping. They produce about 5 kg of honey per comb per year. And these are the pictures of those honeybees. The middle one is Apis mellifera. We'll discuss about it in next slide. Next. Next. So this is previous one. So the European bee, that is Apis mellifera, they produce about 35 kilograms of honey per comb per year. Now, we usually use Apis serena indica in our region, Goan region, and European bee, that is Apis mellifera, we don't use in Goa because it requires temperate kind of climate. Now we'll discuss about the stingless bee, that is Trigona species. So, in addition to the above, other species is also present in Kerala. So, this bee is also found in Goa as well as Kerala. They produce around 300 to 400 grams of honey per year. Next, this is Apis florea. This is Trigona species. Now we'll move on to biology of bees. Bees have four stages of life: egg, larva, pupa, and adult. Most of the feeding is done during the larval stage. Honeybee eggs are of two types: fertilized eggs and unfertilized eggs. Fertilized eggs produce workers and queen, and unfertilized eggs produce drone, that is males. So the one bee colony normally includes thousands of worker bees, single queen, and hundreds of drones. Next. Now we will talk about queen. Queen is the functional bee of the colony and is developed from fertilized egg. So the queen is developed from the fertilized egg and it is called as functional bee of the colony. Its role is to mate with drones and lay eggs. It has an ovipositor which is modified as sting. A queen is capable of laying fertilized as well as unfertilized eggs. The queen is raised in a special cell which is constructed at the lower border of the comb, and the egg hatches in 3 days. So as we can see there, the queen, which is the biggest one, and it is very easy to spot a queen. We'll see it in the further pictures. Next. The larvae of the queen is fed with royal jelly all the days until it becomes pupa. It has capacity to lay 500 eggs in 2 to 3 hours in a day after mating. A queen can lay 500 to 1500 eggs per day. And it takes 15 to 16 days for the development of a queen from egg stage to adult. The average lifespan of the queen is 1 to 2 years. So the queen can live up to 1 to 2 years. After that, its functional properties may come down. The queen is larger than workers, longer than drones, and has a tapering abdomen. Next. So we can see queen there. It has a longer abdomen. Its wings look shorter than the workers, and it kind of has a little red tinge on its abdomen. And it is the biggest bee in the comb. Next. So the queen is. There are special cells for queens. They are at the lower base of the hive, And these are some pictures of those cells. They are the biggest cells in the comb. Now we'll talk about the worker. So worker is the one who does all the work in the comb, right from feeding the larvae to building the comb. Everything is done by worker. So workers are females but imperfectly developed females from the fertilized eggs. There are around 5,000 to 75,000 workers in one healthy colony. It takes around 21 days from egg to adult stage. The average lifespan of a worker bee is 6 to 8 weeks. So it can live for 6 to 8 weeks. They are equipped with pollen baskets so that they can collect the pollens. They have wax glands so that they can build the combs, and they also have a sting to defend. And according to their age, the workers are given different duties. Like the newly born worker is given duty of being a foraging nurse bees. The nurse bees take care of the young ones. And according to age, they are given their own duties. Like foraging bees will go for food, wax bees will build the comb, mortuary bees will dispose the dead bodies and keep the hive clean, scout bees will go and find the food, etc. Next, this is the picture of a worker bee, a pollen loaded worker bee, which has come to the hive with the loaded pollens. Next. So this is another picture of the pollen loaded worker bee. Now we'll talk about the drone. Drone is male bee. So drone is raised from unfertilized egg, and their only function is to inseminate the queen, that is to mate with the queen. The drone cells are larger than worker cells and are darker. So as we had seen in the previous picture, the drone cells have dome-shaped cap. So they are capped ones. They do not possess wax glands because they don't build the comb. They don't have pollen baskets because they don't go out to collect pollen or sting. The only function of drone is to mate. And after mating, the drone dies because while mating, its abdomen bursts and it dies. And the drone usually eats the ready-made food and enjoys the sunshine. There are around 0 to 1000 drones in one healthy colony, and it takes 24 days for drones to develop from egg stage. Next. So this picture of a drone, a dark, fat guy. These are some plants to which for chemistry. Next. Now we'll talk about the general terms. Okay, so first one is queen substance. So usually people get confused between queen substance and royal jelly. The difference is queen substance is produced by the queen and royal jelly is produced by worker bee. So queen substance is a mandibular secretion produced by queen. It is used to transfer various messages within the hive from queen to worker bees. So as we know that bees communication method is through chemicals. So this is what they produce, the queen substance. So the queen transfers different messages to workers by using this queen substance, and she produces it through her mandibles. Sometimes, due to overcrowding, the workers fail to sense the queen substance and feel the absence of queen in the hive. So, workers, when they sense the queen substance, they know that the queen is present in the hive. But when they don't sense the queen substance, they feel like the queen is absent, which which triggers them and they produce the new queen cells. The queen cells are also called as swarm cells because once the swarm cells are produced, there can be swarming. So this may lead to production of queen cells, which may lead to swarming. And this substance is responsible to prevent worker bees to lay eggs in presence of queen. So it is. They say that workers don't. They say that workers don't lay eggs, but it is not true. Sometimes in emergency, when the queen is not present in the hive, they lay eggs. The only reason they don't lay eggs in presence of queen is because they know that the queen is present to lay the eggs, and they know that queen is present in the hive with the help of queen substance. Next, royal jelly. Royal jelly is a special substance which is produced by the hypopharyngeal glands of worker bees. This substance is rich in nutrients, and the royal jelly is only fed to the queen cell larva till it reaches the pupation stage. So this is produced by the workers, and workers give this royal jelly to the queen larva for at least 5 days or until it pupates. Next is swarming. So what is swarming? Swarming means when a queen along with some workers moves out of the hive and settles in some other place. So this is the natural way how in which they multiply their colony, and this happens because of various reasons. Like if there's abundance of pollens in and around the area, they find it suitable time to swarm. Or if there's overcrowding in the hive, as I have mentioned in the previous slide, then there can be swarming. And if there's some kind of disturbance. Next, so how we know that the colony will swarm? First sign is there will be abundance of food stored in the hive with little space for more. So the hive will be totally full. There will be total overcrowding. Worker bees will be more in number, so much in number that some worker bees will have no work and they will be idle. So some idle worker bees can be seen, and there will be construction of queen cell, which will be on the lower and side edges of the brood combs. Kept queen cells on the lower and side edges of the combs. So when the swarm cells are produced, there can be swarming. Next, now what we can do to prevent swarming? First of all, avoid the congestion. Because overcrowding is a primary reason a colony will swarm, so make sure that the colony is crowded and there is I can next slide. Next slide. So, to ensure proper ventilation, we have to see that on top of the our bee box we have some holes. We have to see that they are open and not congested or blocked. Then we also have to remove the queen swarm cells. So the queen cells or swarm cells which are there at the lower days of the hive, we have to cut them or remove them. And if the weather is completely hot, we have to supply some water to the bees. Okay, so next one is absconding. So there's a difference between swarming and absconding. In swarming, only some bees along with the queen leave the hive. In absconding, queen along with all the bees in the hive shifts to some other location. And this happens because of many reasons. If there's something wrong in the hive, like there can be overcrowding, there can be lack of forage in and around the area. If there are no pollens around the area, they will leave that place. Then, if there is ant invasion or heavy infestation of small hive beetle or pest and disease attack, then absconding can take place. Next, signs of absconding. Spotted brood pattern. Spotted brood pattern in the sense there can be some kind of diseases in the hive, and the hive will get different discolored patterns. Then there can be decreased population. The population will decrease due to pest or disease infestation. Then the bees will be deformed. They will have deformed wings. Then there can be lack of honey stores. Then there can be empty combs. There can be small hive beetles like pests and wax moths, ant invasion wasps, etc. Next, what can we do to prevent absconding? We have to make that beehive or bee box, a comfortable place for those honeybees. We have to see that there is no pest or disease infestation over there. We have to control the interior temperature. We have to block the strong winds by maintaining the proper shelter around the bee box, and also provide proper ventilation and minimize the disturbance. Next, then we also have to see that we have to secure the flight path. We have to see that the place from where the bees come out of box, we have to see that it is not blocked. And in order to prevent queen from going out, we have to put the queen gates over there. Because if the queen leaves, the whole hive goes behind. All the bees go behind her. Control the parasites and diseases, as we know. Keep away large animals and predators. Keep away agrochemicals because they can be hazardous for the bees. Control the humidity and improve the drainage, and create more hive space. Next, now supersedure. Now, what is supersedure? It is the term used by beekeepers to describe the replacement of an old queen by her daughter. So, this has been done without human intervention in order to ensure the long term survival of the colony. So, what happens is when the new queen emerges, the new queen fights with the older queen for its right, and the one who wins the fight will get the place of the queen of the hive. So this is called as supersedure. Usually the old queen is kicked out by her daughter. Next, what are the signs of supersedure? So first of all, the activity of the older queen decreases, means the ability of her to lay eggs will decrease. The combs are being seen empty because queen is not able to lay eggs. There will be more number of drone cells so that the new queen which emerges will get chance to mate with those drones. Then the construction of supersedure cells on the face of the comb. So new queen cells or swarm cells will be produced. Next, now methods of multiplication of beehive. So the multiplication of beehive is done for various reasons, especially when there is overcrowding. So whenever, what is multiplication of beehive? Whenever you create a new colony from an existing colony, you make a split. So from existing colony, we have to make a new colony. So we have to just divide the existing colony and make two colonies out of it. So this is called as multiplication of beehive. Beekeepers split colonies for various reasons, but usually splitting of the hive is done to put off swarming. Generally, beekeepers will split their hives for three reasons. One is for prevention from swarming, one is to rear the queen, and to make up the lost colonies. The colony can be divided with or without the queen. So, I will be discussing about how to divide the colony with a queen, and the next presenter will discuss about how to divide the colony without a queen. Next. So what you need to split the colony? First one, you need an empty nucleus box or a hive or a bee box. Next you need a protective gear, smoker, hive tool. If you are splitting with the queen, then we need a queen and a thriving colony. That is the colony whose activity is good and it has more population in it. Next, so we'll begin with the steps in multiplying the beehive with a queen. First of all, we have to grab an empty brood box or a nucleus. So that's going to be the hive for the new colony. A nucleus is a small hive with space of about 5 frames and works well for the splits. So the nucleus is a small box which has around 5 frames, which is usually used when we split the colonies or we multiply the colonies. Second thing we have to do is, second step, find the queen in the hive which we are going to use to split. So find the existing queen. Next, now we have to stock the nucleus or a hive with the next generation. So in this, what we have to do is, we have to take some brood frames, that is the frames which has good amount of capped and uncapped eggs, like 2 frames. Then we have to take some nurse bees and shift it in nucleus or the hive. So we have taken some eggs along with our nurse bees and we have shifted it in our nucleus. Next, now the queen which we have identified in the older box, means the existing queen which we have identified, that queen we have to place in our nucleus where we have already shifted our 2 hives with eggs and nurse bees.
So now in the nucleus we have the combs with eggs, nurse bees, and now we have also inserted a queen in it. Next, now when we transfer a queen from the old box to the nucleus, we have to see that no frame has or no comb has swarm cell or a queen cell, because we are already inserting a transferring a old queen from the old box, and we don't need another queen over there. Then we have to stock the new colony with food. Now we have our uh, combs with eggs and nurse bees and queen, but we don't have the foraging bees or the scout bees over there. Once the new bees arise, the nurse bee will become foragers. So we have to see that until the time the new bees arise from the eggs, we have to give them nutrition. So we have to select one frame from the other box which has honey and pollen in it and transfer that in a nucleus as a source of food for them. And if we don't have a frame with honey and pollen over there, we have to feed them with 1 is to 1 sugar solution. So this is how we multiply our colony. Thank you.
Thank you, Kriti. It was a very nice presentation. So our next speaker is Miss Kavita Puchari. She has also completed graduation in BSc Agriculture this year. She is a bright student with creative mind. She loves reading, dancing, cooking. She has received Excellent Agriculture Students Award from Krishitham. And today she will be talking about the maintenance of bee boxes and schemes in Goa. You may proceed with your presentation, Kavita.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Friendship Day to one and all. So, I'll be basically explaining you today about the maintenance of bee boxes and the schemes in Goa. Next slide. So, I would like to begin first with multiplication of beehive with queen cells. That is, this is one more type of multiplication of beehive with the help of queen cells. So, what happens is sometime, even when there is a queen bee in the beehive, there are chances of occurrence of queen cell, which is also known as swarm cell. So, how to identify the queen cell is, as you can see in the picture, there is a frame, and at the bottom of the frame, you can see one cell which is elongated. That cell is known as queen cell. We even call it as swarm cell. So what happens is sometime even when the queen bee is there, this queen cells occurs in the frames. So that is a time when you can do multiplication of beehive. So what you have to do is basically you have to gather one more box, that is the new box where you will be dividing your colony and putting it. That will act as your new box, and the box which has queen cell as well as the new queen bee will be the old box or the nucleus box. Next slide. Yeah. So what you have to do is first you have to identify the frame which has the queen bee. So what you will be doing is basically first once you identify this frame which has the queen bee, you will be moving that queen bee frame into the new box, and automatically once you move the queen bee containing frame into the new box, the old box will have the swarm cell or the queen cell containing frames. So what you have to do is, in the old box, as you know, it might have either 7 frames or 8 frames. So what you have to do is, once you transfer the frame containing queen into the new sorry into the new box, what you have to do is, the 8 frames from the old box, leaving the frame containing the queen cell or the swarm cell, out of that remaining any 4 frames you have to remove, which will have the brood, pollen and nectar. So what you have to do is, basically you have to divide the 8 frames, 4 into the old frame and 4 into the new frame. So while dividing, you have to see the frames, both the boxes should get equal amount of brood, pollen and honey, so that it is easier for them to further multiply. So this is how you multiply when you have a queen cell. That is, your new box will have the new queen bee, whereas the old box will have the swarm cells. So later the swarm cell hatches and the queen emerges, and then it starts to multiply its box. Next slide. Yeah. So once you put the frame containing new bee into the new box, what you have to do is, you have to arrange the frames in such a way that in the middle you have to put the frame containing the brood. So followed by the middle, the frame containing the brood. At the sides you have to put the frame containing the queen bee and other frames having the brood, pollen and honey. Yeah. Next slide. So now I'll be telling you about selection of site for beekeeping. So one who is interested to take up the beekeeping as an enterprise, you should know what site is feasible for beekeeping, or how where you can set up your bee box. So first thing is, there should be availability of flowers. You should place your bee box in such a place where there is availability of flowering trees or shrubs, as the bees require nectar and pollen for honey. So you should confine your bees in such a place, bee boxes, where there is availability of flowers. Next slide. Then availability of water. As we require water in our daily life, the bees also require water for their various purposes. Like, it might be to cooling purpose, temperature regulation, or then it might be for feeding their larvae, like that. So what you have to do is, you have to install the bee boxes in such a place where in nearby there is availability of water. In case if there is no availability of water, what you can do is, you can install colorful bowls. As you can see in the picture, you can install some colorful bowls, and what you have to do is, you have to put water in it, and you have to put either some pebbles, marbles or floating sticks, so that when bees go to drink that water or to collect the water, they shouldn't drown. So colorful bowls with some pebbles or marbles will work. Next. Next slide. Yeah. So yeah, as you know, there should be availability of flowers, availability of water. Next is accessibility and topography. So you should install your bee boxes in such a place where it is easily accessible for you all for doing all the management practices. As it might be honey collection or harvesting of honey, or it might be other activities like inspection, cleaning the bottom board and all. So it should be easily accessible. Then you should place where it is not undulating. It should be flat, or gentle slope is also fine, but it should not be fully undulating area. Then shelter or shade. This is an important point. You should, once you install your bee box, it should be kept under the shade. Otherwise you have to make a shed and then keep it below that, because as we all know, uh, the direct sunlight and strong winds are not, they are harmful for the bee boxes. They are harmful for the bees. So what happens is, sometimes due to rainy season, there are heavy winds and rains that might affect your bee boxes and the bees. So you should arrange a shelter for the box wherever you are keeping. Next is proximity of human activities or human conflicts. So it is being said that you should not install your bee box where there are huge, meaning where there is activity of humans. You should keep it away from the human activities as much as possible, because there are chances the bees might attack people. Example, you should not keep it in markets or schools and all. So you should keep it in a place where there is less activity of human beings. Next, then presence of pest and use of pesticide. So wherever you are installing your bee box, you should make ensure that there is no presence of pest nearby. There are some pests of bees like ant, uh, yellow banded wasp, and then wax moth and all. So you should make sure that wherever you are installing your box, it shouldn't be near. It shouldn't get affected by any pest. So it should be pest free area. Next is, as we all know, we live in generation or era where we almost all of us are promoted towards organic farming and organic cultivation, and we all need it, as the chemicals are very harmful for our health. So what happens is, sometimes if you are installing your bee box in an area, and in nearby if there is a field where there are sprayed with pesticides and all, there are chances of bee poisoning. Meaning, if bee goes for foraging in that area and if there is chemical spraying going on, the bees might die. And even if bee collect flowers from such an area where there has been spraying, there is a chances of honey contamination. So you should install your bee box in such a place where there is absence of pesticide spraying and absence of pest. Then drainage. As we all know, there are chances of waterlogging around your bee box. So you should install the bee box in such a place where there is good drainage. It should not be waterlogged around the box. Next. Yeah, so this is an important point as now rainy season is going on. That is maintenance of bee box during the rainy season. Next. Next slide, please. Yeah. So you should avoid the dampness in your apiary site, that is moistness. So you should allow the ventilation around the bee box. You shouldn't be like surrounded by decaying matter or fallen leaves and all, because that arouse moistness more in that area. So it should be like ventilated, well aerated area. Then that you should provide a proper drainage. As I told you, waterlogged soils are not good for the bees as well as that area. So what you should do is, you should keep it well drained, and then install a rain cover. As it's rains in rainy season, what you have to do is, you should install a rain cover either by covering it with a polythene, because as I told you, heavy winds and rains are not good for the boxes as well as the bees. There are chances of, because of heavy wind, the box might fall and the bees might get affected. Then what happens in rainy season is, there are less availability of flowers in the vicinity. So it becomes a problem for bees to collect the nectar and pollen. So what you have to do is, during rainy season, you have to prepare a sugar syrup, that is sugar solution, and then you have to put it in a vessel, a plate kind of bowl, and you have to install it on super board, so that bees can feed on that during rainy season. Then control wood lice and termites. And these are pests, as I can say, because during rainy season there are chances of attack of these wood lice and termites. So you have to control them. You should regularly inspect your bee boxes, not every day, but at least once in a 15 days or once in a week, and check the activity around the bees. Is there any pest attack, or is there any other problem? Next slide. Yeah, this is a picture of bee box from one of my colleague who was undertaken the beekeeping practice. So what happened is, recently there were heavy rains, and as you can see, there was a huge attack of pest in that box, and the bees swarmed because of that. So you should regularly visit, inspect your boxes, and check the conditions over that. And you have to take measures for that to ensure that the bees are there in the box. Next slide. Yeah. So schemes available for beekeeping in Goa. So there are some schemes which is available in central government also and state government. So we'll be discussing about the state schemes. Next. So first scheme is promotion of beekeeping for honey production. This scheme is presently enrolled in our state and it is prevailing. So the promotion of beekeeping for honey production. And who are eligible for this scheme are basically the person should be residing in Goa. He should have his own residence certificate and he should have his own house or he should have his own area, that is he should have his fields or any area which will have a 1 in 14 form or at least a particular amount of area which is essential for that scheme to avail. So you should have a basically area of your own and a house and a residence certificate. Next is pattern of assistance, meaning the subsidy scheme. So, according to this scheme, for STSC beneficiaries, 90% subsidy is given, and for general, 75% subsidy is given. That is, for general people, you have to invest 25%, and for STSC people, you have to invest 10%. And according to this scheme, the individual box is given 5,500 per box. Next. Then, along with the bee box and the bee frames, what you get is other kit, the bee kit. That is, it will have the vase, smoker, knife, then queen gate, brush, hive stand. So you get along with the bee box and the bee frame the other accessories. That is the bee kit. Sorry. Next. Yeah. So how to avail this scheme? So whoever is interested for this scheme should visit the zonal agriculture officer of that area and you have to fill your form and attach your necessary documents. So by visiting and filling up the form over zonal agriculture officer, you can avail this scheme. Next. One more scheme which is running is scheme for fund for regeneration of traditional industries, that is Murthy. So this is under KVIC. So what is KVIC is Khadi and Village Industries Commission. So under this KVIC, this scheme is running and this scheme is majorly for people who want to take up the beekeeping enterprise in a group, like example for self-help groups or non-government organization, that is NGOs or societies or cooperative societies or producers company like that. So who want to take up that enterprise in a group together. So according to this scheme, they provide 90% fund, that is 90% subsidy is given and only 10% is your investment. Next slide. Yeah. So as I told, 90% of the fund will be provided by them, KVIC, and 10% is yours. And sometimes what happens, they make a cluster of 100 and 500 artisans and then they take up this enterprise as a beekeeping enterprise so that it ensures an employment to the farmers, women, unemployed youths, Adivasis. So they make up a cluster so you can go, you can register in KVIC and tell that I'm interested to take up. So they might make a cluster, even you can go with your group like NGO or self-help group and avail for this scheme. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you, Kavita. The presentation. The participant, if you have any question, you may ask.
There is one unanswered question on honey grading from Clyde Dizima in the chat box.